see this all-new upcoming edition of Resident Evil 4? Yes, this is a real copy, and I'm already bored out of my skull with this game. And Resident Evil 4 fans, Resident Evil 4 purists are going to be upset because, as you can see on the screen, this is the old classic, the iconic game that everyone knows and loves. All of this, all of what you're seeing is cut. Cut. Cut.
Throne room, cut. Laser room, cut. Cable cars, cut.
Cut.
Dragon room, cut. Truck sequence, cut.
All of what you're seeing is cut. All of what you're seeing is cut.
Throne room, cut. Laser room, cut.
All of what you're seeing is cut.
There's more. U3,
Cut.
U3,
Cut.
U3,
Cut.
Salazar statue, still in the game. However, all of this sequence here.
Cut.
The cage room with the Wolverine guy. Just cutscene now. Just cutscene now. This Gatling gun room.
Cut.
This room where the floor comes down on you.
Cut. Cut.
It's not even Resident Evil 4 anymore. And people that say, well, Michael, you're helping out in this game, you know, Michael, you're just focusing on the negative. Why don't you do a reverse bingo card and come out of the woodwork, tell us what they replaced? Well, I can't do that.
All of what you're seeing is cut. All of what you're seeing, 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 cut.
And ladies and gentlemen, folks at home, we are live. We are out here live, folks at home, as we continue to dissect this all-new edition of Resident Evil 4, nearly 2 weeks since the launch of this all-new edition of Resident Evil 4. And before we get started in a way that makes sense, let me know how the audio sounds. It says it's clipping, but it shouldn't be clipping. Nonetheless, we are out here and we are live. Now would be the time to share the show as we are live, as opposed to apparently the show got shared earlier, and that's not when you share the show because we're not live when you share the show. So now would be the opportune time to share the show if you were going to do that. And tell your friends, tell your mother I said hi, hit the like button, do what you can to come in here and, well, consume, enjoy, dislike, boo, whatever. Regardless, we're out here live, ladies and gentlemen, folks at home. Let's get a 1 in that chat. I want to see that chat moving really quick. It's not on members-only mode. Some people are under the impression that it's on members-only mode. It's certainly not. Let's get a 1 in the chat, folks at home. 1 in the chat if you are with world-class veteran video game critic Michael Does Life. 1 in the chat right here and right now as we are live. Shadows99 is apparent. Is anyone else alive in here? As we get started here shortly, folks at home, the reality of the situation. As the reality of the situation continues to unfold for this all-new edition of Resident Evil 4, we are out here live, ladies and gentlemen, folks at home, and we're going to turn down this audio a tad bit here because I'm thinking it's a little too loud. So we're going to do a quick adjustment here on the fly. There we go, baby. That's what we're talking about. The Saunders coming through.
Is the worst remake to date.
Well, I would argue maybe this is worse. I mean, they're all terrible. Let's just make that clear. They're all terrible. All these remakes are terrible. Resident Evil 2 Remake is terrible. Resident Evil 3 Remake is terrible. Resident Evil 4 Remake is terrible. But if you had to put them all together, I would say this might be the worst one because this was the biggest Resident Evil game. And they just dropped the ball in many, many ways. They have dropped the ball in many, many ways. And it is the reality of the situation. But we've come to a point where people don't care anymore, unless the Crobecat video will maybe convince them otherwise. Not that that's the goal of the Crobecat video, but, you know, when Crobecat puts out his video, I just cannot wait to see what he puts together, and he's going to showcase it in a way that's probably never been done before. It's going to be so fantastic. Whatever the side it's on, it's going to be fantastic. So whenever that video does drop in the next few weeks, months, whenever it does, we will be there reacting to it live. And It might be the video that some people need that they don't think they need, but it might very well be that video that they need. And it's going to be fantastic. So we are anticipating that tomorrow the Mercenaries DLC launches for this all-new edition of Resident Evil 4, and we do have Resident Evil 7 installed on the Xbox, so we will be playing that tonight. Last night we couldn't get it to work on the PC, and we tried for over 2 hours nearly to get that damn thing to work on PC. We can't get it to work on PC, but nonetheless, we now have it installed on Xbox. We're good to go for later tonight. We're going to be playing Resident Evil 7 because the remake here, the Resident Evil 4 remake is so terrible. We're going to be playing Resident Evil 7 for the first time thoroughly in 6 years. So last time we played it was when we made a video on it and I rented the game. So that's the last time we played it. That's the last time we played it. All right. We're going to get started here momentarily. We got a few things to talk about and discuss as this all-new edition of Resident Evil 4 is terrible, but not many people think that, so... It's pretty hot out here today, actually.
Thank you.
Jesus Christ.
Bald Lesbian donated $1.99 through Super Chat. It's a cutscene now. It's a cutscene now.
It is.
Woman breastfeeding. Woman breastfeeding.
It literally like that's literally what it is, bro. It's literally a cutscene. Yeah, it's literally a cutscene, bro.
Holding hands.
It's literally a cutscene, bro. Let's get a 5 in the chat. We need you guys to wake up in here, man. You want high energy, and then you can't reflect it back, and it's like, well, I don't have an incentive to bring high energy, and then we'll make this shit fucking Joe Biden energy, because you guys are on that Joe Biden kick as of late, so... I'm just saying, like, you know, if the chat had some more energy, and maybe the content isn't that exciting, but regardless, if the chat had some more fucking energy, we would maybe have some more energy as well, because it's hard to reflect energy when there's dead vibes around here. It's like a fucking cemetery. All right. So let's go ahead and talk. I know we got a bunch of fake gamers in here. I'm going to open up the lines today, and I'm going to bitch these fucks out because you know what? I'm done with these shills. So if the shills call in and say stupid shit, or you know, just fake gamers call in and pretend like they played the game, we're going to the next caller. Hanging up on them immediately because that's fucking dumb. You know, I want to talk to real gamers that have actually played this son of a bitch. And especially the shills because they're always fun to argue with and debate because they don't have any talking points. You notice that they don't have any talking points. They think they have talking points, but they don't really have talking points.
It's over.
Aaron Carter coming through. Hell yeah, bro. Appreciate that.
Aaron Shivers donated £5 through Super Chat. I was never a fan of RE4 and the remake is worse. I really wish they would focus on a first-person version of RE1.
Well, they might very well do that. Who knows? Aaron Carter coming through. Hell yeah, bro. Appreciate that. Let's go ahead and show you something here in a moment as we get started here. Let's go ahead and show you guys something here in a moment as we get started here in a way that makes sense. All right, Aaron Carter just came through. Hell yeah, bro. Appreciate that. So look at this right here. Okay, this is Resident Evil 3 compared to Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 3 Remake compared to Resident Evil 4 Remake here. And as you can see, there's a lot of similarities in my opinion. I mean, it's not really an opinion. They're on the screen. So you have, you know, the Nemesis boss here. The last Nemesis boss in Resident Evil 3 Remake, he kind of just sits there and throws his tentacles out once in a while, and you got to get the big special rocket launcher to destroy it or whatever, the railgun, whatever it is. And then you hear, you know, in Resident Evil 4 Remake, the last version of Sadler, before you get the special rocket launcher from Ada, is essentially a copy and paste of the Resident Evil 3 final form of Nemesis. And you see the clock tower there in the Resident Evil 3 Remake. Of course, you can't go inside. It's cut. And they did the same with the cable cars as well. They threw it in the background. And everyone... See, here's what pisses me off about all of this. You criticized... A lot of people criticized Resident Evil 3 Remake. And they said it was trash. It was cut content. It wasn't, you know, anywhere in line with the original game. And I'll agree. I don't think Resident Evil 3 Remake is great. But now that I'm hearing the shill point perspective on Resident Evil 4 when they've done exactly the same thing... It doesn't make sense because we're praising a game for cutting content. We're praising a game for just massacring the original game and the spirit of the original game. And that's the exact thing that you guys did with Resident Evil 3 Remake. You sat there and you said Resident Evil 3 Remake is trash because, oh, we can't go in the clock tower and it's cut content and, you know, they ruined Nemesis and all of this other stuff. And yet they did the same thing here with Resident Evil 4 Remake, and you don't care. So that either tells me that the people that like this Resident Evil 4 Remake are stupid idiots, first of all, obviously. And second of all, they obviously haven't played the original game, or they don't care about the original game to begin with. Because it doesn't make sense to me how you can sit there and criticize Resident Evil 3 Remake and come away and pretend like they didn't do the same thing here with Resident Evil 4 Remake, when in fact they did. It's an asset flip and you don't care. It's an asset flip and you don't care. And it's so sad. It's so sad. Let's go. Let's have a conversation out here, okay? Jesus Christ. Quit spamming stupid shit in the chat that's irrelevant. You know, a robot can spam that. Use your time wisely and start chatting in the chat in a way that makes sense as we're live on the air. Start communicating. How do you not care? Well, because you don't care about quality, because you're a stupid idiot. That's why. That's why this industry is in the shape that it's in, because you love consuming the shiny food at the buffet. You don't care about the quality of the food. You don't care about anything except for the fact that they told you that you're going to love it, and that's all you needed to fucking hear. I'm getting sick and tired of it, man, every single day with this shit. That's why this Friday, tomorrow, we're done talking about this game. I'm done. The only thing we're going to come back to is that Cropecat video, because I'm done talking about this game. No one wants to listen. No one gives two fucks. I don't care either then anymore. I'm done. I'm out. I'm over it. Okay? If that's how it has to be, then that's how it has to be. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. It is what it is. You know, if Young Ya made a video like this and like, oh, look at the similarities between Resident Evil 3 Remake and Resident Evil 4 Remake, and look how much content they cut. You know, you guys would be fucking all up in that shit. You guys would be fucking all agreeing on that shit. You know? But you don't want to sit out here and agree with World Class because he doesn't fit the narrative, the mold of what you think a fucking human being should look like, because you're so fucking one-dimensional and you're like, oh my God, he's got different eyeballs going different directions. Great. I'm glad I'm fucking unique. I'm getting sick and tired of this shit, man. I'm getting sick and fucking tired of this shit. And I'm going to tell you what, when Cropecat puts out his fucking masterpiece, is the narrative going to change? You're damn right it fucking will. The narrative will change because you got so many of these fucking fake-ass gamers in here that literally can't put fucking buttons together. They can't mash. They can't sit there. Shut the fuck up. That's what they do day in and day out. They suck their mother's titties. I'm sick of it, dude. You can't have any conversations out here because you guys like, you freaking wrong. Who cares about Michael? Take Michael out of the equation and talk about the fucking game. That's why we're here. We're here to discuss the game. We're not here to discuss Michael because no one cares about Michael. And no one certainly cares about you because you're a fucking nobody. So guess what? We're out here on the island of relevancy. And if you're not with us, well, then you might very well be against us. So why don't you look at that a little bit longer and start understanding what I'm talking about? Please, for the love of all that's holy. I'm just getting sick and tired of it, man. Every day with this shit. Every day we're talking about this shit. We're talking to a brick wall in here. It's a waste of my fucking time. That's what it is. It's a waste of my fucking time. That's what it is. It's a waste of my fucking time. And it's a waste of your time, too, because if you're not going to help contribute by adding meaningful conversation to this discussion show, then you're not doing anything in here. You might as well smoke weed and fucking jerk off all day. I mean, Jesus Christ. It's ridiculous. If you can't see what's on the screen and how they did the same thing to Resident Evil 4 Remake, well, then you're just a shill. You're just a shill. Because look at what they did to Resident Evil 3 Remake and look at what they did to Resident Evil 4 Remake. The exact same thing. And everyone said, oh, we want the clock tower to come back. They cut that all out, Michael. That's trash. Well, you know, I can go back and argue now and say, well, the clock tower didn't matter because here's what they've added. You know, just like the shills that come in here and they say, well, Michael, the cable cars didn't matter. Who cares? And let's talk about what they've added. Yeah. What they've added, by the way. They didn't fucking add anything. It's an all-new Resident Evil game. How do you not understand that? How do you not understand that? The amount of cut content in this game has not been... We just don't fully know. Because no one's actually done a video like that. I mean, they've done videos where they compare the old game to the new game, but they're not doing it in a way that makes sense. And the only one that's going to be able to do it is Cropecat. Because he's got a keen eye for small, finite details. And... that's the one who's going to make it happen. And it's going to be a very controversial video. If he comes at it and says basically the remake is superior, it's going to be one of the most controversial videos that he's ever put out. And the shills don't care. The shills don't care. They wish they cared, but they don't care. I'm going to ban Mac. You're adding nothing to the conversation. You're a fucking robot in here. Yeah, we know Mercenaries is coming back. That has nothing to do with the current conversation. So you can't get up on my level. Do I have to stoop down to your low IQ level? Because it seems like I fucking have to do. Some low IQ imbeciles in here. Let's go ahead and take some calls here. Let's go ahead and take some calls. If you can't call in and keep it on track, we'll go to the caller that will. Let's go. Call in on your phone right now. Let me get the number up here. Can't even see the screen. 818-824-4937. 818-824-4937. 818-824-4937. 818-824-4937. 818-824-4937. That's the number to call in. I'd love for Mac to call in, but I know he doesn't have the balls to do that. 818-824-4937. I'd even argue with him off the air, but I know he's not able to do that either. 818-824-4937. 818-824-4937 if you'd like to call in here. 818-824-4937 if you'd like to call in here. 818-824-4937. Well, if he actually had something interesting to say, I'd entertain it, but he has nothing ever interesting to say. 818-824-4937. That's the number to call in. 818-824-4937. That's the number to call in. 818-824-4937. We're waiting for someone to call in here. So, lines are open. I don't care about Mercenaries mode. You know, we might jump in just to play it and say, okay, here's the damn new mode that you shills are in love with, but I don't care about Mercenaries mode. However, the fact that it wasn't there day one and the fact that it came 2 weeks later is ridiculous. But you guys don't care. You guys just don't care. All right, 818-824-4937 if you'd like to call, and we have currently no callers. So. Michael is soft for banning. You know, it's my show, my shit. I can do what I want. And I didn't ban him anyway. I was just hoping he would actually say something worthwhile, but he never does. It just says, oh, mercenary, you know, it's just a fucking shill. It's just a fucking shill. Yeah, no one's calling in. Well, I don't know what to tell you. They don't have to call in. No one has to do anything. You can sit on your ass for all I care. Show must go on. So, again, if you look at Resident Evil 3 Remake and compare it to Resident Evil 4 Remake, this is the reality of the situation. I know it's not what you want to hear. I know you don't give two fucks. I don't care either. But, look, we're going to discuss it regardless. So, I mean, I do care, but you don't care, and it's hard for me to care when you don't care because you guys are vibe drainers in here. Holy shit, vibe drainers in here. I mean, you guys are like leeches in here. Just drain the whole fucking vibe of the show. You know, like, oh, yeah, this don't matter. It's like when you have sex for the first time, because I know you haven't done that, you're going to be able to pretend like that doesn't matter either, that wasn't a big deal. And some of you, well, let's just not get into it. But it is the way the cookie crumbles, I'll tell you. So, all right, let's see if we have any callers. 818-824-4937. We got a first caller on the air here. Let's go ahead and make this happen in a way that makes sense. First caller on the air. 818-824-4937 if you'd like to call in using your telephone. Hello, you're on the air. Can you hear me? Hello, you're on the air. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, hello, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Pound Sand, buddy.
Oh, gee williker. We got Pound Sand on the line. Hey, you know, are you able to go 12 rounds today?
I guess so.
Okay, let me ask you this. What do you think about Resident Evil 4 Remake as it stands now, as the dust has kind of settled?
Still stands as one of the greatest games of all time and certainly the best remake of all time.
So you're saying that the Resident Evil 4 Remake is better than the Resident Evil 1 Remake?
The Resident Evil 1 remake, if we could even call that a remake, that's a demake.
How is the Resident Evil 1 Remake a demake?
Because they try to make it look realistic when it really lost that classic old feel, the shine of the oldness. They modernized it, and it looks like trash.
Well, that's what they've done here to the Resident Evil 4 remake.
Yeah, but they kept the shine of the original. The original's trash, but they still kept the shine of the original and expanded upon it.
How so?
How so? The story's more realistic. The characters are more realistic. The gameplay is more fun.
We don't want
more,
realism in a Resident Evil game, bro. What you mean?
There ain't what?
How is it realistic when you could parry a chainsaw with a knife?
Metal on metal, it wouldn't cut.
And
the
that
knife in
roller
half.
coaster section in the mines? I mean, that's not realistic. That's more unrealistic than half the original game.
I mean, the original game, you had all these jumps running from a statue. The original game is cringe, if I'm being honest.
You're trolling, dude. There's no way you're serious, bro.
Bro, there's a big Salazar statue.
Yeah, I know. I
That's-
played both games. You don't have to tell me what's in both games. I know, believe me.
Honestly, I don't think you played the original. That's what I'm
How
really
did I not
caught
play the
upon.
original when I've streamed it literally on this channel? What are you smoking, dude?
You're watching gameplay and acting like you're
How am
playing.
I
There's no
watching
way you played-
gameplay?
There's no way you played it if you're playing that game and say it's fun and you're calling the remake flop. How is the remake flop? The original's legit flop. You have a statue that chases you.
Well, let me ask you this. When you look at this, these pictures here, I don't know if you can see it on your screen. We showed it earlier. But you look at Resident Evil 3 Remake, and it's awfully similar to Resident Evil 4 Remake. What would you say about that?
In which way? I don't see the pictures.
Well, it should pop up on your screen if you're watching the show, but you might not be watching.
No, I'm watching the show.
Okay, well,
but
it
I'm
should
on
be
my
catching
phone.
up. It should be catching up here momentarily, but when it catches up on the screen, we compare Resident Evil 3 Remake to Resident Evil 4 Remake, and you will see that there are a lot of similarities here.
I
Are you?
don't see the similarities with those pictures.
How so?
Especially that clock tower one.
Yeah, what about it?
I get what you're saying with the clock tower one. You're saying, like, you could only see the clock tower.
Right, it's in the
just like you
background,
could
just
only
like the cable cars are in the background in Resident Evil 4 Remake. They did the same thing.
Yeah, but they added new sections, so they scrapped the cable
Yeah,
car,
because
but
it's an
they
all
gave
new it's an all new Resident Evil game, just like Resident Evil 3 Remake.
Now, Resident Evil 3 Remake cut and didn't
No, it didn't.
replace the remake.
No, it didn't. No, it didn't.
Yes, what did the remake replace in 4? They added the whole running from the chief section, the part with the new Bella Sisters part. They added so much.
No, they didn't add anything to that part. What are you talking about, bro? In the original, there's literally a choice, and they've cut that, and no one cares. Like, oh, they made a smart decision to seamlessly transition. No.
Yeah, but if you have choices in your game, you're not going to be able to see all the content. Capcom wants you to see everything they created.
So you're saying you want less content in your experience for $70, $60, right?
Not less content, less choices. Give me a linear path. Let me follow it so I can see the masterpiece.
Well, therefore,
in
there's
one
less
place.
replayability, less game modes, and you guys showed this to the moon and back.
How is there less replayability? The combat's 10 times better.
Because they took out the choices.
There's one choice in the original. Cool. Like,
Well, that's one choice. That's one choice that you don't have in this Resident Evil 4 remake, this soulless demake that you guys want to shill literally on an hourly fucking basis.
okay, but who didn't take both paths anyway in the original? Unless you're trash, you took both paths anyway. There was no replayability. It was just maybe extra content, but they replaced that with other stuff.
There's no way you're serious, bro.
All right, if you didn't take both paths in the original,
When I went through it initially, I picked one path, and then I said, well, wait a minute, what's over here? It's the Chainsaw Sisters, or you want to pick the Giant, El Gante. So you had a
You didn't
choice.
take
Now
both.
you don't have a
Perfect plan.
choice.
There you
You
go.
don't have a choice because
There
they
you
cut
go.
that out. They've cut content out, and you guys want to sit there and pretend like they didn't cut content out. They've cutted
but they
content.
replaced it.
Yeah,
They
just
replaced
like
it.
Resident Evil 3. Oh, so start naming examples of Resident Evil 3 remake cut content.
Resident Evil 3 Remake, the clock tower. They didn't replace it with anything. They just purely cut it.
Same thing with the cable cars here in Resident Evil 4 remake.
No, they replaced it with the running from the chief segment and the side missions.
No, they didn't. That's totally different.
How is that totally different?
Oh my God, bro. Because
You're playing the original with like the filter. You're looking through the lens of the
oh
original.
yeah, you know I'm just a freaking old boomer with nostalgia, right? Yeah.
No. You're just shilling the original. That's what it is.
How am I shilling the original? It's an anti-Resident Evil game. Like Resident Evil 4 was always an anti-Resident Evil game.
Yeah, killed the series.
It actually brought it back because it was dying. No one wanted to play that Code Veronica slop.
You're right. It did bring it back. What happened? It's equivalent to today how Resident Evil 2 Remake brought it back by bringing all the Fortnite kids in. Back then, it brought in all the kids from like Metal Gear.
Yeah, and now you literally have Resident Evil in Fortnite because they have the fake fans have infested this franchise, just like yourself.
Yeah, but that happened with the original, except it was the weird kids that play like Metal Gear and stuff came to it because Resident Evil 4 original.
Well, you have to be a little weird to play Metal Gear. I'll agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, there's literally butt cheeks in the intro of the 5th game. I agree, but like, they brought Resident Evil 4 original brought the Fortnite kids in back then. Obviously, Fortnite wasn't out, but you know what I'm referring to. The game's trash. It's woke. It's slop.
Okay.
It's boring.
How is the original Resident Evil 4 woke? Now you're just trolling, bro.
How is it woke?
Yeah.
Did we play the same game?
Well, tell me how it's woke.
Oh my God, Ada?
Leon chokes Ada. Leon chokes Ada in the original game. Of course, they have that cutscene cut in the remake.
Oh wait, he does what? You said?
He chokes Ada because he's transforming with the virus.
Yeah, and then she stabs him in the leg and wins. It's woke.
I don't see how that's woke.
Because he loses. Sure, he wins the
Oh, there's no way this
fight.
is a real conversation. You haven't even played the original.
I haven't played the original. Quiz me. Go. Anything. Ask me anything.
You went
I
on
know
Wikipedia.
everything.
You went on some Wikipedia article.
All right, ask me something right now where I can't go on Wikipedia.
It doesn't matter if you got it memorized.
You have no questions. I don't know.
Because you haven't played it.
I haven't played it. I'm booting it up. Here's my console. I'm booting it up. I'm booting up the original. Booting it up right now. I don't own the original.
Okay, so let me ask you this. When you compare the original castle from Resident Evil 4 2005 and you compare it to the Resident Evil 4 remake castle, would you say they're totally different?
Yeah, definitely improved on the castle.
Exactly, because they cut the whole castle in the new game.
They improved it.
No, they condensed it. They made it. There's literally less content. There's less quantity in this shit.
That's the OG.
Yeah.
You heard it.
Well, there you go.
I've played the game over 100 times. I know it more than anyone, in and out.
Well, you got a bad take. How can you? Okay, so you played the original over 100 times, and you're telling me this soulless demake is better.
I mean, I played it over 100 times when I was a dumb kid and didn't understand reality.
You are saying right now that the soulless demake is better. Are you shitting me?
It's way better. Look, I was showing the original at the same time I was waiting for Santa to come through the chimney. I was stupid.
Yeah, but what does it have to do with anything? Look, how is the all-new edition of Resident Evil 4 better? There's no way.
How is it better? I already said the realism, the combat, the story, everything.
It's all worse, objectively.
Lack of Shinji Mikami, that's an improvement.
Well, Shinji Mikami's actually playing the remake. He just posted it on Twitter yesterday.
Yeah, watch, he'll give it a 10 out of 10. You'll see.
Well, they probably paid him to.
They paid him to give it a 10 out of 10, you think?
Yeah.
So there you go, then. He's a bad person that makes bad games. That even further improves my argument.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're saying, let's go back to that picture here again. You're saying that the Resident Evil 3 remake is worse than Resident Evil 4 remake.
Resident Evil 3 remake is much worse than the Resident Evil 4
Okay, how
remake,
so?
yeah.
How so?
Woke.
Hello?
Everything. It's garbage. It's like a 1-hour game on a speedrun. Like a casual speedrun. Not
So
even
is
tryhard.
Resident
It's like
Evil
1
2
hour.
Remake. So is Resident Evil 2 Remake.
Resident Evil 2 Remake is trash, yeah.
Okay, there's no way, bro.
Bro, Resident Evil
Okay,
2
hold on. Do you really think Resident Evil 2 Remake is trash?
Oh, don't even get me started.
No,
on
I want to hear it. I want to hear it because you know what? We agree on that. So I want to hear your take on Resident Evil 2 Remake if you don't mind.
First thing first, well, I could explain it, but just real quick, woke. That's it. But the gameplay, it incentivizes you to run. Like, they don't give you ammo to kill. It's a shooting game where you're not meant to shoot. You might as well just boot up Outlast. You have to run past every zombie. There's no feel when you shoot them. You're shooting like cardboard. It's boring. You walk. You can't even run. You walk.
So why does everyone put Resident Evil 2 Remake on a pedestal then?
Fortnite.
Dude, there's no way you're serious right now, bro.
What do you mean?
You're literally trolling. Like, how can you like Resident Evil 4 Remake when it's literally the same game as Resident Evil 2 and 3 Remake?
It's the same game. All right, go shoot a Ganado in 4 Remake, then go shoot a zombie in 2. Play the combat.
It's the same. They both don't react. And they're all bullet sponges. They're all bullet sponges. No, in the Resident Evil 4 Remake, they take like 6 headshots to fucking even react to if you're playing it on normal anyway. It's horrible.
Skill issue.
That's not a skill issue. That's terrible animation. Laziness, dude.
All right, in the original, 1 shot to the head, they got stunned. In the remake, it's 1 shot also.
And that's why you put the Resident Evil 4 Remake on easy, because it feels more like the original 2005 experience.
Now you're justifying being trash.
How am I justifying being trash? It isn't a skill issue out here. Look, what you need to know and understand is that literally if you want the Resident Evil 4 2005 experience in this all-new edition of Resident Evil 4, you put the damn game on easy mode.
No, Standard does it just right.
No, Standard doesn't do it just right. Standard is bullet sponge mode, bro. The enemies do not react, and modders are having to go in and start animating this stuff so that they actually react accordingly.
They do react accordingly. 1 shot or 2 shots to the leg, 1 shot or 2 shots to the head.
It shouldn't take 3 shots. It shouldn't take 3 shots for something to react.
It's not 3 shots. It's 2 max. Mostly 1.
Doesn't matter. 1 shot should do the trick because that's how it is in the original. But you guys don't care. You're like, oh, the original's trash. It's woke. How is the original game woke, bro? This is literally the definition of woke. This new game right here. This all-new edition of Resident Evil 4. How is it not woke? There's literally COVID masks in the game, bro.
What's wrong with masking up? It's
What?
for safety. It's promoting safety. What are you talking about?
Who's masking up in 2023?
The game was probably being created since like 2019.
Yeah, and you can tell because Ada Wong and all of the other voice actors and actresses are fucking terrible.
I don't see any problem with Ada. I don't get why people are giving all the hate.
Because it's terrible. It's a terrible performance.
It's not
Hey,
a
Leon,
terrible performance.
my name's Ada Wong. You know, I mean, it's just like she didn't want to be in the booth. It's like she didn't want to be in the booth. And then you got the fucking same merchant from Resident Evil Village. Hello, stranger. It's terrible. I can do better than that, and I'll do it for fucking free.
You're using talking points of the 2 remakes.
Talking points? What are you talking about? Well, let me ask you this. What do you think about Resident Evil 7?
7? It brought back the original feel of the OG RE1.
Really? Explain that further.
Yeah. Explain that further. The fact that you have to backtrack constantly through the house. You're not really meant to kill everything. You're very limited on supplies, very linear, tight corridors, tight hallways. The key system, everything. It's literally the box inventory system. It's literally the original in first person.
Right. I mean, there are a few people out there that believe that Resident Evil 7 is one of the best Resident Evil games that have ever been created in a long time anyway. And you know, you might be onto something there. But when you compare Resident Evil 7 to Village, I mean, how do you feel about that when you compare Resident Evil 7 to Village?
8's a masterpiece. It really just shoves a 7
Whoa. You're saying Village is great?
It's 8, not Village.
No, that's not true. That's not true. Where does it say Resident Evil 8 on the box? It doesn't.
It does.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
But yeah,
No. You're a fake Resident Evil fan. I'll look right now. Where does it say Resident Evil 8 at?
Oh, so you don't think 8 came out yet? Did 8 come out yet?
But you're saying it says Resident Evil 8 on the box. It does not say that.
It says Village, but it's actually 8.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't say Resident Evil 8.
So did 8 come out yet? Let me ask you that. So the next Resident Evil...
I mean, they haven't even put out the Resident Evil 2 remake yet. Or 3, or 4. These are not remakes. They're all new Resident Evil games under the guise of remakes.
How are they not remakes?
Let me ask you this. What's your favorite movie that they've remade?
I don't watch movies like that.
Oh, my God. So you can't name one remake that's actually, like, you know, better than the original or some shit like that? I mean, you can't name one movie remake at all?
Nah. Oh, yeah. Ghostbusters.
Oh, hell no. Oh,
Yeah,
come on, dude.
That's a
Dude,
troll.
now you're trolling, bro. Now you're trolling.
That was a troll.
Wait a minute. You're talking about they made 2 new Ghostbusters. The one with all women and then the new one that's Stranger Things ripoff.
About the all-women one. That was a joke.
Well, they're both terrible. Actually, I've never seen
I
Ghostbusters. I think I've seen it one time, and I thought it was pretty mid, but...
And that's woke, like the 2 remake, the 4 original, the 3 remake.
Yeah, but you're saying, dude, you're trolling. You're saying the original Resident Evil 4 is woke, and this remake isn't?
Yeah.
How? How is the original Resident Evil 4 woke when Leon makes comments like women, you know? How is that woke?
I mean, did you play Separate Ways?
Well, I did, but I don't remember much.
Ada goes up to Leon in the room where you get the free RPG, and he's TMPing all the enemies with the TMP, and she goes, "Sorry, I can't proceed this way, otherwise I'd have to end Leon." How's that not woke?
There's no way this is a real conversation, bro. You got literally COVID masks in the Resident Evil 4 remake. You literally have cut dialogue, cut content. What are you talking about?
I don't see what's woke about safety.
Well, then you know what? They should update Resident Evil 3 remake, update Resident Evil 2 remake, and add the COVID masks in there as well.
Honestly, I'd be down for that. I mean, those games are trash, but that would be a good addition.
Okay, there's no way you're serious right now, bro. There's just no way you're serious because you're telling me that Resident Evil 2 remake is trash. You're telling me that Resident Evil 3 remake is trash, but somehow, some way, they've managed to win you over with this all-new edition of Resident Evil 4. And again, when you compare this to Resident Evil 3 remake, it is an asset flip. Look at this. The bosses are the same. They have the cut content thing in the background to piss off the OG fans like, hey, we have this. It's not cut, but you can't interact with it at all or go inside of it or do anything with it. And they've continued that here in this all-new edition of Resident Evil 4, and you guys are defending it. How is that even...
I mean, if you're playing 2 remake and 3 remake, then playing 4 remake and thinking it's the same type of game, you're just mistaken, misguided.
What are you talking about? They're all asset flips.
All right, maybe they added some assets again, but the gameplay, the game flow, the gameplay loop...
Resident Evil 6 has better melee combat than Resident Evil 4 remake, bro. Because when you're surrounded in situations by zombies or enemies in Resident Evil 6, they have different like there's literally a better combat system in Resident Evil 6 than there is in this all-new edition of Resident Evil 4. Because when you get surrounded in this all-new edition of Resident Evil 4, you can't really do anything except parry, and then Leon will, kick them away or whatever.
I mean, if you want to play the Callisto Protocol where you can melee zombies...
You know what? I kind of do want to go play the Callisto Protocol just because the internet hates that game. And you know what? I am the biggest contrarian. I'm the biggest contrarian.
I mean, if you want melee combat, like I said, Callisto Protocol is for you. RE6, you have a stamina bar. This is coming from someone that didn't even...
Who cares? At least RE6 has soul. It was its own thing. It wasn't just an asset flip, a blatant asset flip. Look at Resident. Let me ask you this: what do you think about Resident Evil 5?
5?
Yeah.
It's too similar to the 4 OG, so it's kind of
How so? How so?
The gameplay, the controls where you can't store. You could strafe left and right on the ultimate PS4 controls, but the original controls where you can't strafe left and right, you back up slowly, the movement, the aim, it's identical to the 4 OG,
right,
besides the co-op partner system.
Yeah, and it has the same sound effects. It has a lot of RE4 in there, and that is an asset flip as well. Exactly.
It's literally RE4 original, woke, more woke, and
Okay,
it's
dude.
boring. It's co-op. Huh?
So let me ask you this: when they inevitably remake Resident Evil 5, do you think they can pull? Do you think hello?
Hello?
Yeah, when they inevitably remake Resident Evil 5, do you think they can pull that off in a way that makes sense?
The co-op?
No, the whole game. I mean, remaking Resident Evil 5, takes place in Africa, and it was controversial when it came out.
Modern themes won't allow it to be RE5 remake to come.
Well, that's okay,
So
because you know what? Resident Evil 4 Remake is not a remake of Resident Evil 4. It's an all-new game inspired by Resident Evil 4. So it is A-okay for Capcom to go in and remake Resident Evil 5 because they're essentially making an all-new game that is inspired by Resident Evil 5. And they will change whatever is needed. And the fans won't care. Clearly, they went out and they bought this and they consumed it, and, they love it. You guys love terrible games.
I don't understand how it's a terrible game. It's getting 10s out of 10s.
Who cares about what IGN or GameSpot or Greg Miller or whoever said? I mean, they're just paid shills. The game's garbage. Okay, so let me ask you this: when Chromcat puts out his documentary, and the narrative will shift because it will. It's fucking Chromcat, baby. When he puts out his documentary, his major motion picture on this game, and it's like a 30-minute fucking, showcasing how the original may be superior or might have more finite detail than the fucking remake. Is it going to shift the narrative? And are you going to jump on that bandwagon when it happens?
If he says that the original's better, then I think it's time we all unsubscribe.
What are you talking about? See, this is the problem. This is so you want people just to tell you what you want to hear. That's your problem. Just like all the other shills.
No, I like objective fact, and it's actually fact that the 4 remake is better than the
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not.
I mean,
How? It's Resident Evil 3 remake all over again. Then why was anyone complaining about? So why? Let me ask you this: why is Resident Evil 3 remake so terrible? Don't just say the clock tower again because we've already established that.
I'm not going to say the clock tower. I'm going to answer with the question: how long did it take you?
Well, that's not an answer.
First place.
Huh? Hold on, someone's coming through. Chris H. Chris H. coming through, baby. That's what we're talking about.
Super chat.
Gee Williker. Chris H. coming through. Hell yeah! By the way, appreciate that. Chris H. coming through with a $5 super chat. All right, so let me ask you this: what were you saying?
How long did it take you to beat RE4 remake?
Well, initially probably about 20 hours. Now here's the thing. Here's the thing. I was the first streamer to beat this game because I got it 1 week early.
It's over.
And we beat it live on the air, but we couldn't show it. So we were the first streamer to beat this game live on the air with no help. There was no guides on the internet, no gameplay, nothing.
Why would you need help? It's not like RE1 original.
That's bullshit. All these streamers do is look up the puzzles beforehand so they can appear smart on camera. That's what's going on there. That's what's going on there.
That's not true.
That is true. That's bullshit. If you don't think these people are looking up the puzzles beforehand, like, oh yeah, and jotting down the answers so they can look really smart, like, oh yeah, look at me, I got this puzzle solved in 1 minute. No, that's bullshit. That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. I was at the sword puzzle for like 3 hours.
Yeah, how?
Well, I thought we only needed 3 swords.
This is
Because the game has terrible game design. They should have called Shinji Mikami back to help out.
Yeah, then it would have been trash like The Evil Within. Yeah, great idea.
There's no way you're serious, bro. Dude, you are such a troll, dude.
I mean, if you think Evil Within's good, Callisto Protocol, you probably have copies sitting on your desk right now just collecting dust.
Well, that's every game.
Yeah, but no one's going to revisit the Callisto Protocol.
What are you talking about? There's dude, I will defend Glenn Schofield. Okay? Look, there's DLC coming for the Callisto Protocol this summer.
And no one's picking that up.
How do you know?
Look at the current players on Callisto Protocol. You pulled it up.
Well, they're smart people. They're smart people. The masses have left because they're ready to go to the next flavor of the month.
Yeah, there's like not even 100 people on the Callisto Protocol. No one's going to play that.
Well, there's probably more people watching this stream than playing the Callisto Protocol on Steam.
Thank you.
Because it's trash, yeah.
What are you talking about?
Donated $2 through Super Chat.
Listen, if the game's good, the buck doesn't leave that quick. There would still be... Look, mark my words, RE4 Remake is still going to be above 1,000 in a year. Constantly above 1,000.
Well, the original is above 1,000, and that came out in 2005. I mean, not on PC, but
now.
well, hold on. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Resident Evil 3 remake. Why is it so bad?
Short. Woke.
Oh, how is Resident Evil 3 remake woke?
Carlos giving her the radio. I know how a radio works. She should have just said, "Don't."
Well, she's strong and independent, just like Ashley is in the remake here, where they cut the overtime line out.
Independent in the remake?
Yeah, because Leon confirms it. Leon says, "Oh, you're strong and independent," and they ride off into the sunset. How is that not woke?
He doesn't say that.
Well, she says something to the extent of that.
No, she asks him if he wants to be on her private security detail.
Yeah, and then there's a line after that. Well, you obviously haven't played the game.
No, and he doesn't say you're strong and independent. He says, nah, you're capable on your own.
Exactly, that's what that's implying. She's strong and independent. Yeah, that's what that means. No, that's what that means. That's what that means. No, that's a woke line. What you talking about, homie? That's a woke line.
That's not woke.
That's more woke than Resident Evil 3 remake.
It's not more woke than Resident Evil 3 Remake. Resident Evil 3 remakes are just, they literally said, why are you mansplaining? They literally said that.
Yeah, and why didn't the internet love it then? Because the internet's woke as hell.
Yeah, it is woke.
Yeah, it's a bunch of liberals sitting around doing nothing all day. That's all it is. That's the entire internet. That's why they're mad at Kid Rock now.
They're what?
Nothing.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, look, I don't think you know what you're talking about because you can't give me reasons why Resident Evil 3 Remake sucks.
Short. Instead of short, it's woke. It's
short and
boring.
sweet. We don't need things to drag on.
Oh, and they made the RPD section trash. You didn't play as Carlos in the original in the RPD.
Good. They added new content.
They didn't add new content.
Yes, they did, because you just said that you don't play as Carlos in the original, so therefore it's new content.
Yeah, Jill instead. They made it shorter and as a different character.
Good, short and sweet, memorable. I mean, you know.
So you like the game?
Well, I think it's better than a Resident Evil 4 remake, because you know why? Resident Evil 4 remake was harder for Capcom, the new Capcom, to do, because the original Resident Evil 4 is a big game, and everyone knows that. And it's a 3D over-the-shoulder shooter game. So it didn't go from pre-rendered backgrounds, PS1, to the new hardware, HD era. It went from already, being kind of modern to the modern era. And what did Capcom do? Well, they watered it down, they sanitized it, and everyone loves it.
There's no reason not to, exactly, yeah.
The game's trash.
I mean, I got all unlockables. That was honestly the most fun gaming
But
experience.
how can you come away and say Resident Evil 3 Remake features cut content? Well, let me just back up real quick. Does Resident Evil 3 Remake feature cut content? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. So, and you know this, and everyone knows this. Why don't you care about the fact that they cut content out in Resident Evil 4? If you cared so much about Resident Evil 3, why don't you have that same feeling for Resident Evil 4 here? Because they've cut content here, and you don't want to sit there and say that they've done that.
No, they replaced it.
No, okay. So I can make that argument for Resident Evil 3 Remake.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
Do it.
Okay, name something that's cut in Resident Evil 3 Remake, and I'll tell you what they replaced it with.
Clock Tower.
It's in the game. It's in the background. Right here.
So they replaced it with a picture. That's what you're saying.
No, exactly. Just like the cable cars in the Resident Evil 4 remake. Next.
Jill at the RPD.
We don't need that. They added Carlos, an all-new segment. They added content. They added content.
The ending.
It's better.
Oh my God, this is still speaking. That's crazy.
Oh, now I'm a shill?
Yeah.
No, you're a hypocrite. All you fake Resident Evil fans are hypocrites.
This is coming from someone that beat the remake like over 10 times and the original over 100.
Well, let's back the train up a little bit here. Hold on, let's back the train up a little bit here. You said the Resident Evil 1 remake isn't good. Can you elaborate on that further?
Sometimes more is less.
What does that mean?
They added stuff and it made it trash.
Okay, so You're saying the additions of the self-defense weapons and the Lisa segment and stuff like that, that bogged the game down is what you're saying.
Not necessarily specifically that, but the fact that it had that classic feel and they murdered it with modern graphics.
What are you talking about, bro? How so? How did they ruin it with the modern day graphics? You're trolling, dude.
No, as someone who's played both, it's apparent besides the soundtracks that the original just has that shine that the remake couldn't capture.
Such as?
The modern graphics or the old graphics.
So what you're saying is kind of how I feel about the... Hold on. What you're saying is kind of how I feel about the remake now. It's a great game. I mean, but it sort of did what this Resident Evil 4 remake did, and they went with the blatant horror approach, or at least the blatant gothic vibe, and you didn't really necessarily get that, in my opinion, with the original version of RE1. It was more like a funeral home setting, it felt like, anyway. Things were pale, and things were sterile, and it had this off-putting vibe, but it wasn't like fucking blatant horror, you know? And that's the problem, in my opinion, with the Resident Evil 1. One of the problems with the Resident Evil 4 remake is that it's just, there's blood on the ground when you go to see Krauser, you know? It's like, this isn't fucking needed, but for the modern day era, for the modern day audience, they want to see the blood. They want to see the guts. They want to, you know, you have to give it to them in a blatant fashion. And I think, honestly, the Resident Evil 1 remake falls into that a little bit, but it's not as bad. But is that what you're saying? Something to the extent of that?
Something to the extent of that, yes.
Interesting. Well, you have unpopular takes because you don't like Resident Evil 1 remake, you don't like Resident Evil 2 remake, and that's a very unpopular take. Resident Evil 2 remake is highly regarded as one of the best Resident Evil games ever created. A fantastic remake. But again, you said you didn't like Resident Evil 2 remake, which is insane.
I mean, yeah, no, that game is garbage. They butchered characters, they butchered gameplay.
And they've cut content. They've cut content in Resident Evil 2 remake. No crows, no spiders, no moss. You can't shoot zombies through the glass.
Spiders, but yeah.
It's horrible. The A and B scenarios are gimped, watered down.
No, the A and B scenarios are literally identical in the remake.
Well, yeah. Well, you have that section where you go through the daycare, I think, but that's about it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Ada's section. Yeah, it's literally identical. It's the same game, and people want to
exactly. And no one said that was bad. So where okay, but where does the hate come from for the Resident Evil 3 remake? I don't understand.
It's the same, like, all right, outside. The outside section is equivalent to being in a building. It's so small. It's very linear. Play the original. The outside sections, it's like a whole extended hour from the remake. There's no outside in the remake.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, Capcom, I remember reading this, Capcom said that the Resident Evil 3 remake was going to have a bigger Raccoon City. And they were obviously wrong on that, which is so unfortunate.
And that's why it's trash.
Well, I mean, I think it's just as bad as this RE4 remake. You know, so if you were to rank the RE Engine games, what is the best, you know, outside of, well, yeah, the RE Engine games, I mean, what is the best RE Engine game from 2017 rather to 2023, all of the games that have released so far on the RE Engine, the new modern day Resident Evil games, what would you say is the best one?
4 remake.
Okay, second best.
Second best, 8.
Oh, come on, bro. How is 8 good, dude? 8 is a snooze fest, bro. So hold on. You literally shilled 7, or you said 7 was more like the OG. So how is 7 inferior to 8 outside of lack of enemy types?
Because the gameplay loop is just boring. I mean, we all love the original gameplay of the originals, but
it's the same game. 7 and Village, it's an asset flip.
Village 8 is a combat game where 1 is, you know, you might as well be playing, not 1, 7, you might as well be playing Death Stranding.
What are you talking about? 7? Death Stranding?
Yeah, you just walk around the house the whole time. It's a good game. I like it, but it's like, it's nowhere on par with 8 or something like 4 Remake.
Yeah, 8 is basically just a practice point for Capcom to see if they can do RE4 Remake. That's all it was.
I don't know. No, the story says otherwise.
The story is terrible. It rewrote Resident Evil 7. You think they had that idea for Resident Evil 7 when they were making it? Hell no, bro. They had to shoehorn in this story, and they had to retcon Resident Evil 7. It's terrible.
I mean, listen, 8 is objectively better than 7, then after 8 would probably
But
be
you just
7.
said, oh my God, you just said Resident Evil 7 is more like the OG classic experience.
Yeah, but it's a good experience, the OG classic experience, but I don't prefer that over the combat system that 8 has and 4 has, 4 Remake, I mean.
Well, sometimes less is more. I don't know why you want more combat in a Resident Evil game. Go play Call of Duty or some shit.
I mean, I play Call of Duty too, yeah.
Oh my God! Of course you do. That's why you love Resident Evil 4 Remake. You guys are like, oh yeah, we love this, because it feels like Fortnite.
I mean, you like 3. 3 has a dodging system. Like, you could literally hit a button and dodge.
Well, that's amazing because that's what you could do in the original. And they actually improved upon that. That's one of the things they actually improved upon because in the original it was basically automatic or whatever. The game would just do it whenever it wanted to. And in this remake, in the Resident Evil 3 remake, you had to time it, in a way that made sense. And if you timed it perfectly, it would do this little fucking crazy effect on the screen.
Okay, yeah, if you want to go play something like Bloodborne, I mean, it's available still.
Wait a minute, what are you talking about? What do you think about Bloodborne and Elden Ring, real quick?
Elden Ring, more like Elden Cringe, what?
There's no way, bro. You should have been here when I was talking about Elden Ring like 2 years ago or whenever it was. I mean, holy shit. The Elden Ring fanboys are crazy, but I think the Resident Evil fanboys are actually worse, to be totally frank.
I don't think so at all. The Elden
What are
Ring
you talking?
Oh my God, what's his name? The dude, I forget his name, but he said Elden Ring people are literally abuse victims, and I agree.
Well, they didn't bother me too much over here, but the Resident Evil fanboys just continue to come over here and say we're wrong when I say, wait a minute, there's cut content here, and you're still defending this. You're still defending this all-new soulless demake Resident Evil 4.
It's not soulless at all.
You're in the honeymoon phase, dude.
It's a what?
You're in the honeymoon phase still.
It's been almost 2 weeks. It's been gone. That left day 1 when I beat it.
Yeah, it's already the flavor of the month has lost its sizzle.
And it's still popping, exactly.
No, the flavor of the month has lost its sizzle. It's over.
I mean, this has to be coming from a place of delusion.
What are you talking about, bro? Dude, I literally have it right up here on the screen, and you're disagreeing with this. This is an asset flip. Literally the same bosses, literally the same cut content way.
What's wrong with an asset flip?
Because you guys criticize Madden every year for being the same game, but when Resident Evil does it nearly every year, you guys were like, oh, we love it. Capcom's so original and so innovative and so amazing.
The difference is when you play Madden, every Madden feels the same.
Because it's football.
Yeah, but this doesn't feel the same. It's a different game.
No, it feels the same. It feels the same, believe me. How does it not feel the same? It's Resident Evil 2 Remake. It's the same gameplay as Resident Evil 2 Remake. What are you talking about?
Did Resident Evil 2 Remake have a parry system? Did Resident Evil 8 was first person? Resident Evil 3 Remake had a dodge system? The whole movement feels different?
Yeah, they made... What are you talking about? Resident Evil 2 Remake doesn't need the parry system, bro, because it's survival horror, or at least that's what it wanted to be.
It's a different game, exactly. That's my point.
And they made one unique feature for Leon, or whoever the main character was, in all these stupid remakes. So in Resident Evil 2 Remake, they wanted to go back to the basics, and this, that, and the third. They did that well, I guess, according to the shills. Resident Evil 3 Remake, they added the dodge mechanic and actually improved upon that. Resident Evil 4 Remake, they added the parry system, which wasn't in the original game.
It's a different game than 4, though, just like Madden.
Exactly. It's an all-new Resident Evil game under the guise of a remake. How are you guys shilling this? Look, when Crow can't...
It's like you're making it seem.
What?
Huh?
Hello?
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 You're trolling.
No, you're trolling. Why are you saying hello? Bro.
Look, RE4 Remake, this is all I have to say. RE4 Remake, RE2 Remake, RE3 Remake, RE8 all feel different where Madden doesn't. So who cares?
No. They all feel the same. That's the problem. The UI's the same from 2017 to 2023. The UI's the same from 2023 to 2017. 6 years, and they didn't change the damn UI. It's soulless slop. It's soulless slop. That's what it is. It's soulless slop. And you guys want to defend this slop. You guys want to defend this slop. Shinji Mikami is playing this shit right now, and you damn well know deep inside he thinks it's trash, but he can't say that because he doesn't want to fucking burn bridges.
That's excuses.
That's not excuses. You damn well know that Shinji Mikami is based. You damn well know that Shinji Mikami made this franchise relevant again. And you damn well know that when he's playing this soulless demake at home on his PlayStation 5 right now, you damn well know that he's fucking saying, what in the hell is this shit? You know what I mean?
Whatever.
What are you smoking, dude?
This is crazy.
I don't think it's crazy. I'm just a real Resident Evil fan, and they all call me a fake Resident Evil fan and a fake gamer and a fake this and a fake that, and I'm going to tell you right here and right now who's based.
Thank you.
It's world-class veteran video game critic Michael Does Life.
Donated £2 through Super Chat.
I was right about all of these games.
Hang on.
You were, though.
Crap, Tom.
How was I wrong? How was I wrong?
Specifically about the 4 remake, you said it would have cut content. It would be shorter. You said it's definitely not shorter. And I couldn't really think about anything else you said, but that's the majority of it, the big picture. That's the big picture things you said, and those were both proven wrong.
Well, let's repeat that again because I wasn't listening. How was I wrong?
You said that the game would be shorter and have a lot of cut content. The game is clearly not shorter. The game does not have cut content.
Oh, that's a bunch of baloney. The game doesn't have cut content? You know, maybe I was wrong about the length, but the game doesn't have cut content? So you're saying Resident Evil 3 Remake doesn't have cut content? Is that what you're essentially saying? Because it sounds like you kind of are.
Remake has cut content.
No, according to your logic, bro, Resident Evil 3 Remake doesn't have cut content.
No, it does.
How?
Because they clearly cut things and didn't replace it.
Exactly, just like in Resident Evil 4 Remake.
We're going over the same argument.
Did they replace the room where you go in and they have these big fucking things in there, you know, slicing you up? They don't have that in there. What did they replace it with? Nothing.
Yeah, because the castle was completely reworked.
Exactly, because it's an all-new game. They didn't remake the game. So how can you sit there and say that Shinji Mikami's going to be satisfied with this when we damn well know otherwise? There's no fucking way.
I mean, we want a new game. We don't want to play that trash 2005
They literally cut U3, dude. They literally cut U3.
In separate ways.
We don't know that.
We do know that. And Note confirms it, and the files confirm it.
It doesn't matter. You already know what they're going to do. They're going to throw U3 in there, and it's going to be soulless slop. So I'm actually glad he's not in the main game. They would have ruined it. They would have ruined it, bro.
Anyway, so
they would have ruined it.
Not in, who really cares?
And the only reason why Resident Evil 4 Remake is longer is because it has those forced sections like the Callisto Protocol where you got to squeeze through these areas or these forced in-game cutscenes. It's terrible. And they padded out the length with that cave puzzle. Now, let me ask you this about the cave puzzle. When you defeat the lake monster boss in Resident Evil 4 Remake, they force you to do this terrible, terrible, terrible puzzle that makes zero sense. And you know what I'm talking about.
The optional puzzle?
No, that's not optional. That's not optional.
No, which one are you talking about?
I'm talking about the puzzle. I'm talking about after the lake monster boss, you got to go in there and you got to do this. You got to match up the yellow symbols to get the fucking key to go to the church and find Ashley.
You mean in the church? You have to move
No, I'm talking about in the cave, bro. You didn't play the game.
I actually don't. Oh, you're kidding. Those are not a puzzle. It's literally a drawing on the wall.
How is that not a puzzle? How is that not a puzzle?
It's a matching. Dude, you look at the wall and then you say, okay, that symbol. You have to memorize 3 symbols. It's not a puzzle.
Well, it's a puzzle enough. I mean, look, let me ask you this. Why does that make sense? Because it doesn't. Because there's no sense of urgency for Leon S. Kennedy to go and find and capture and rescue the president's daughter. It makes zero sense, bro. Terrible pacing. Terrible pacing. No, in the original, it makes a lot of sense because you go from the Lake Monster boss, and they don't have this Ubisoft open world wannabe shit in there. They didn't shoehorn any of that garbage in there.
There is no urgency in 4 original either.
That's baloney. The pacing is one of the best things about the game, and now people are saying, oh, the pacing was trash in the original. You got so many of these Zoomers that have never played the original game, and they're like, oh, this game's trash. It's got them tank controls and these, you know, and it's so sad. The pacing is impeccable in the original, and it's so bogged down here by that stupid cave puzzle. And they want you to, you know, they entice the player to go treasure hunting. What is this, fucking Indiana Jones, Uncharted? You know, we're here to find the president's daughter. Not go fucking treasure hunting in the fucking... RE5 is trash.
It is trash, but that was a good segment they inspired it by. They inspired it by the Marshland segment where you got the...
Look, I'll just tell you this. RE5 is so trash, I've never played not even a quarter of the game.
fake fan.
How am I a fake fan when you just said it was trash? I played it, and I said it was trash, and I turned it off.
Yeah, but you can't. How are you going to say the game's trash when you didn't play it to completion? What if it redeems itself in the end?
It doesn't.
It doesn't, true, but you don't know that.
You just confirmed it, so why would I want to play it?
I mean, me and you clearly don't agree with at all, really anything. So
What are you talking about? I'm a real Resident Evil fan. I'm literally the voice of the voiceless out here because the shills are overpowering the people that are saying, well, wait a minute, they've cut this and they've cut that, and you're sitting there and you're spreading false information about this game. You're saying there's no cut content. That's fucking untrue.
There isn't cut content. Like, you still can't name one thing that was cut.
U3 is not in the game. That is a fact.
The game he is in, Separate Ways, yeah.
No,
Separate
Separate Ways is not a part of the game.
Yes, it is.
How
right?
can you literally sit there and say that U3 is in this game? Separate Ways doesn't even exist.
I mean, what happened with your poll?
What?
What happened with your poll?
Poll? Oh, yeah. You know, the normies came over there and said that the remake's better. I'm not looking at that stupid poll. They don't have their thinking cap on. They bought this. It's flavor of the month. And guess what? They're going to return it to GameStop after Mercenaries drops tomorrow.
I mean, look, it's an excuse, just like you made the excuse about Shinji Mikami saying the game's great. I mean, he didn't say it, but you're making a premature excuse about it, just like the poll.
Great? Why would he think the game is great? When did I say I thought Shinji Mikami was going to say it was great?
No, you said he was going to say that because he's paid.
Well, that's probably the case. Why would he say otherwise? What would that do? What would that do? No, no. Just think about it. Why, Shinji Mikami, if he shared his real opinion, not that he would fake his opinion, but I mean, why would he want to burn bridges if he wants to go back to Capcom? If he wanted to, I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
Why would he
because no one wants to hear a negative opinion. That's the reality of life. No one wants to be around negative people.
And but he has the original game, so for him, all he has to say, he doesn't need to be negative about it. If he says something like it's not as good as the original or whatever, that would be fair. That wouldn't be burning bridges or nothing. But you're saying he's not going to say that because he's paid, and that's
we don't know we don't know if he's even going to share his opinion. We don't know. But look, if I had to guess, I know deep down it's his baby. It's Resident Evil 4. It's his fucking baby. Like, there's no way that he's not going to look at it and say, well, wait a minute, what do they do here? There's no way, bro. There's just no way.
Yeah, but see, you're looking at it that it's not. What came out wasn't Resident Evil 4. It was Resident Evil 4 Remake. It's a different game.
Well, then why does it exist? So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. When are they going to remake Resident Evil 4 then? Because I'm still waiting for them to remake Resident Evil 2, and I'm still waiting for them to remake Resident Evil 3. There is no Resident Evil 4 remake. There is no Resident Evil 3 remake. There is no Resident Evil 2 remake. There is a Resident Evil 1 remake, and you said it was trash.
All right, so if you were to play the RE4 remake without knowing it was called the RE4 remake, would you draw the connection to the original?
No, I wouldn't. I would say, wow, this is heavily inspired by it. No, I would say this is heavily... Dude, I already told you guys it was an all-new Resident Evil game inspired by the classics, and you guys are like, no, that's not what it is. But it is.
I agree that that's what that is, because that's what a remake is supposed to be.
I disagree. Well, you can't name one movie remake.
I can't what?
You can't name one movie remake. So when they remake your favorite movie and they go in and make an all new movie inspired by the original source material, that's all you need?
I mean, that would be like 20 years from now, probably even longer, so I don't know.
Well, if they remade Jurassic Park, and removed the actual Jurassic, I mean, I've never seen Jurassic Park, so I don't even know what the fucking movie is. But I mean, if they removed the T-Rexes and stuff, would that still be Jurassic Park? Because that's essentially what Capcom has done here. They've cut all of this content.
They didn't remove the T-Rexes metaphorically in the 4 remake. They didn't. How did they remove the T-Rex?
U3 is not in this game. I don't care how you want to slice it. U3 is not in this game.
He's in a no, and he's going to be in the DLC.
Exactly. The DLC is not the main game. They have cut U3. They have cut. Why don't you just admit that they've cut U3? Because they did.
All right. Are you going to play the DLC when it comes out? You're not. You're going to dodge it.
Why would I pay for more slop?
There you go. You're going to dodge it, and then you're going to still...
Who cares? Yeah, because you know what? They're going to ruin U3 when they put him in there if they do. But you're literally arguing that U3 is in this game when it's clear as day that he's not.
I mean, how are they going to ruin a shit boss? It just literally doesn't make sense. It's
Well, then why
already
even re-include it? Because I'm tired of that talking point from these fake, soulless D-Make fans like, oh, yeah, you know, the boss is so terrible, why include it? It's like, that makes zero sense.
I disagree with that. I wouldn't say it's terrible why include it, because they are going to include it. I think they should.
And you know, they should have included it in the main game, because guess what? From Resident Evil 4 2005, it's in the main game. It's not in fucking separate ways. It's not in Assignment Ada. It's in the main game. So they could have took that opportunity to say, okay, let's take U3 and actually improve upon that boss and maybe actually put a different gimmick on it outside of those cages falling in the original experience. So they failed in that regard.
No, they're going to make separate ways actually playable like how it wasn't in the original, because, I mean, the whole original as a whole is unplayable.
Yeah, so they've cut content out to put it as DLC. That's pretty fucking sad. But you guys love it. You guys love the modern-day gaming era.
There was no content in the original DLC. There was none. So now they're
there was no content. Oh, come on, dude. You're full of baloney, dude.
No, look, I just played separate ways. Chapter 1, 2, 3, and 5 are duplicate layouts. 4 is the only unique chapter. That's the chapter with the 2 big boats, underground highway thing. Separate Ways is a copy and paste resegment. Okay,
let me ask you this. The bulldozer section with Ashley driving the bulldozer on the island, that's all cut. What did they replace that with?
They replaced
Nothing.
The island section.
Nothing.
Yes, they did. They replaced that with the whole amber room and all that.
I don't even know what that is.
The room where the big, or like right before that room, technically there's a wrecking ball, but before that you got the garbage, and then before that little segment is what replaced it.
They have cut so much content. Why do you think Cropecat's coming back to make a video? Because there's enough there's enough there to say, well, wait a minute, what the hell's going on here? This is RE4. It's one of the biggest RE Resident Evil games of all time. And everyone's acting like, well, they didn't cut any content. They did. Just like they did in Resident Evil 3 Remake.
I mean, when he drops that video, we all got to unsubscribe if he
No, that's baloney. No, that's baloney. Unsubscribe. Because it doesn't tell you what you want to hear. So sad.
No, it's because it's objectively showing. It's not about what you want to hear. There's opinions. But the fact that RE4 original is better than a remake, it's not an opinion. That's an objective lie.
There is no objective anymore. The objective doesn't exist in any... What are you talking about? Go watch the nightly news. Everyone has an opinion on, you know, they either lean left or right. I mean, everyone has a fucking take on shit. You know, they just remade the Beatles movie. And Peter Jackson, they went in with Disney and they made the Beatles look like $1 million because they've already made that movie in 1970 and it made the Beatles look like trash. So Paul McCartney teamed up with Peter Jackson and they wanted to say, hey, let's make the Beatles look great by going back to the vault, getting the old footage, and re-editing it. So they had to, you know, make it squeaky clean. So that has a narrative to it as well.
Well, you're right, though. There is no objective opinion. For some people, shit tastes better than bananas. Like, you're right. There is no objective opinion. You're true on that. And like I said,
well, there is an objective take here, and it is the fact that U3 is not in this game.
I mean, there's an objective take that he is in the game. He's in a no.
No. Okay, so by that logic, the clock tower is in Resident Evil 3 Remake, yes?
No, because it's a picture.
No, it's not a picture. The clock. I'm looking at it right now, bro. The clock tower is in Resident Evil 3 Remake, and you're arguing that?
It's a picture.
It doesn't matter. You said U3 was in Resident Evil 4 Remake in the documents. Okay, so by that logic, the clock tower. By that logic, the clock tower is in Resident Evil 3 Remake. By that logic, the clock tower is in the Resident Evil 3 Remake, and it is. I'm looking at it right now, bro.
Yeah, but he's not just in the documents. He's in the DLC as an in-game.
We do not know that, bro. DLC. You're talking about DLC that literally does not exist, bro. You're literally talking about DLC that literally does not exist. You're talking prematurely about DLC that hasn't even been confirmed officially by Capcom, bro.
All right, I'm telling you right now, it's an objective fact that U3 is in separate ways. Well, that's not true. Because it's not even confirmed. Oh, because some data miners who have no life went through some fucking files and figured it out? Oh, that doesn't mean anything. Yeah, but so now you're just talking bad about the data miners for no reason. So
because they're not a source of factual information. Capcom is. You can't just sit there and presume that U3 is going to be in the DLC just because some data miners found a file that says U3 or some fucking shit like that. That has nothing to do with anything, bro. Unless it has a full description of what the damn DLC is planned to be, we do not know Capcom's plans. You can't just sit there and say objectively that the data miners have the facts because at the end of the day, Capcom hasn't said jack shit. You're just prematurely jumping to the conclusion that U3 is going to be in that Separate Ways DLC, which we don't even know if it's going to be a thing or not outside of some data miners going through some game files. That's ridiculous, bro.
I mean, I'm not telling you U3's in the DLC. I'm like actually telling you that yes, he's in the DLC.
The DLC does not exist, bro.
Trust me, he's in the DLC.
It doesn't matter. That's not a talking point because it doesn't exist right now. He's not in the game as it currently stands.
All right. You're right. The RE4 remake is trash. U3.
There we go. That's what I want to hear. That's what I want to hear.
Will you change your mind if he comes in the DLC though?
It depends on how they do it. If they make it just like the original game, I'll say, well, wait a minute, maybe they should have. Well, then I'll be even more mad because I'll say they should have included this in the actual main base game. Dude, the amount of cut content here is unbelievable. In fact, it might be worse than a Resident Evil 3 remake. It's just no one cares to go back and compare the two games in a way that makes sense. But Crocat will.
With you now. RE4 remake is trash, cut content.
There we go.
U3 is not in the game. But when that DLC drops, my opinion's gonna shift.
What are you talking about? You just said it was great. Now you're saying it's trash. Come on, dude. Pick a side.
I'm saying I'm gonna agree with you.
You're flip-flopping.
Let's say RE4 remake's trash. And until that DLC comes out, that game's garbage. It's unplayable. It's a demake.
It is a demake. It's a soulless demake.
Yeah. And then when that DLC comes out, you'll see everyone
buying the DLC is going to save the game is what you're essentially saying. But why can't you sit there and say that Resident Evil 3 Remake, I mean, look at it, bro. The similarities are off the charts.
I mean, the wokeness isn't.
Oh, come on, bro. But that clock... Okay, so again, what is so bad outside of the clock tower with this all-new edition of Resident Evil 3? What's so bad about it? Why did everyone hate it?
Length.
RE2 Remake is short.
RE2 Remake is trash too, but it's technically not short because there's 2 games in it, but we all know it's actually the same thing. But RE3 Remake, an average speedrun from a normal person that doesn't know speedrun strats, takes around an hour 15. It's trash.
Well, Call of Duty campaigns are like 4 hours long.
Yeah, but that's not...
They shilled the new Call of Duty. They said Modern Warfare was the return to form last year.
Modern Warfare 2 2022?
Whatever it's called. I don't even know what the game... Modern Warfare, yeah.
You said people said that was a return?
I mean, they got great scores all across the board. Everyone seemed to like it. I said it was trash. I played that campaign. It was terrible. It's the same mission over and over and over again.
Activision had those pockets.
Okay, so you're saying so why Resident Evil 3 Remake sucks is because it's too short is what you're saying. That's the main talking point here, right?
Basically, yeah. They cut so much that the game is literally a crumb.
Okay. Hello?
Hello.
What happened?
I thought you were going to say something.
Well, I'm just trying to I'm taking it in, you know? I mean, maybe that is the downfall of Resident Evil 3 Remake. I guess it's too short.
I mean, you could do a playthrough of that and average.
I've already done a playthrough.
No. I'm saying, like, forgetting everything, you probably don't memorize the game. It will probably take you 4 hours. That's it.
No, it wouldn't. Well, not me. Not me.
So 7 hours probably.
But you will say Resident Evil 3 Remake has all this cut content, but you don't want to say that about Resident Evil 4 Remake, which is just so untrue.
No, Resident Evil 4 Remake is flop. It's garbage. It's a demake. They cut you 3.
Oh, they've cut way more than that. They've cut way more than that.
just U3, and since they cut U3, I'm not doing a playthrough.
I don't care about U3 at this point. I mean, there's way more stuff that's cut and no one cares. Like, oh, all of that shit was trash. Well, then why is the original game higher rated on Metacritic then? If the game were so trash and the pacing were off and all of this filler content that should have been cut to begin with, why is it higher on Metacritic?
What, the original?
Yeah.
Nostalgia goggles.
Okay, dude. Bro, you are such a shill.
You're shilling the original. There's no talking points.
How am I? How is there no talking points? And how am I shilling the original, bro? The original game is an anti-Resident Evil game. Everyone will agree with that.
Besides the fact that it's a Resident Evil game, what is bad about the original?
What is bad about the original?
Yeah.
Well, it's not Resident Evil.
Besides that, I said.
It's just not a Resident Evil game. Like it is literally.
Shill.
How am I a shill?
That's what you're saying. You're shilling the original.
No, I just said it wasn't a Resident Evil game, and that is true. It's not really.
There's no only point other than that. You think it's a 10 out of 10 perfect game. You're shilling.
I mean, it's a really solid experience. Way better. The gunplay is amazing. The cutscenes are well better directed. I mean, it's just better in every capacity compared to the remake.
How much did Shinji Mikami pay you?
Well, he did send me an email, and I said, wow, it's amazing to have Shinji Mikami on board.
There you go. You can't name one bad thing about the original. You're shilling. Nothing's perfect.
I mean, I can't think of anything that's bad about outside of it not being a Resident Evil game, I don't, for what it is and what it does, it's actually it's a very well-made game.
It's a very, very good game, right? Perfect.
Yeah, it sounds like you with this remake. You don't want to admit that they've cut content here, and it's so sad.
I pointed out the flaws with the remake. You can't point out flaws with the original.
Well, okay, so let me ask you this. What are the problems with the remake, then?
The problems with the remake?
Yeah.
I mean, it's in front of our eyes. No U3.
Oh, come on. Let's stop talking about U3. I mean, that's just baloney at this point. You're using that as a troll.
All right. Okay, so no one said nary grenades. It's not always a one-shot.
They said that didn't matter.
No. You asked me my problems, and that's my problem.
Well, it sounds like you're just regurgitating what I've already told you. For weeks straight here.
I agree with those things. I'm not shilling.
No, you don't agree. You said this was a masterpiece, and the original is trash, and the original is woke.
The original is woke. RE4 Remake is a masterpiece, but a masterpiece isn't perfection. It's literally impossible for anything to be.
Someone brought this up in the chat. They said the QuickTime events in the original are trash. I disagree.
Shill. Everyone agrees that it's trash. You're shilling.
Okay, so why did they continue to include the QuickTime events?
They didn't.
That's baloney. There's QuickTime events here in this game. In the remake?
Where?
What are you talking about? You press circle to dodge and...
It's not a QuickTime event.
How is that not a QuickTime event? It's the same thing as the original. What are you talking about? You press a button in a time frame in a certain amount of time, otherwise you lose. What are you talking about?
And you don't lose in the remake. You just take damage.
Exactly, just like in the original.
No, the original, you died. If you
during cutscenes, good, because they had to put more work into it, and quite clearly the lazy millennial devs over at Clueless Capcom didn't want to go down that extra route, so they just cut it all together. That's why they don't have the choice mechanic system in Resident Evil 3 Remake, because they knew that they couldn't program that they knew that they couldn't handle that.
No, because who would want to watch a cutscene with your controller on your lap? Oh, I didn't press square.
Yeah, good, because you know what that forces the gamer to do? That forces to pay attention to the damn screen. And in an era where TikTok is rampant, YouTube Shorts, and all this, you have all these other distractions. In my opinion, they should have included them again.
Yeah, I mean, Michael shills Resident Evil 4. That should be the channel name now. You're shilling the original, saying that
because it's literally better. It's literally better in almost nearly every single way, outside of graphics.
So you like not being able to watch cutscenes?
I skip them. I don't watch cutscenes in games. I skip them. Okay, but here's the thing. In the original Resident Evil 4, I can't skip some of them because the QuickTime events are coming up, and it forces me to pay attention to the cutscene. So it's actually a smart way to get the gamer to care about what the hell is going on the screen, because if you don't pick up the controller, you're going to lose.
No, if you don't look at the bottom of your screen and completely ignore everything they're saying, you're going to lose. You have to ignore what they're saying.
No, well, yeah, if you have a peanut-sized brain.
I mean, I've played the original for 100 times, and to this day, I have.
Oh my gosh. So I guess in the Resident Evil 4 remake, you have to ignore the combat because there's quick time. There's little things that pop up on the screen that says circle to dodge Krauser and circle to dodge the Vertigo boss fight and things like that too. I guess you got to just.
No, because you don't lose. You don't lose if you don't dodge it. You just
exactly, just like in the original. You don't die automatically.
Yes, you do.
No, you don't.
What are you talking about?
Look, there's gameplay QuickTime events in this remake, right? Yeah, yes?
Those aren't QuickTime events. QuickTime events, that's why it's called an event. It's not like gameplay. Like, having to dodge...
It's literally the same thing, dude. It's literally the same thing. Press a button on the screen within a certain amount of time. You don't know what a QuickTime event is.
That's not a QuickTime event. A QuickTime event is a cutscene, a movie, like Telltale games.
It's the same thing.
No, it's not. In RE4 Remake and the original, when you're running from Verdugo and then you have to hit L2, R2 to die.
Yeah, you have to do the same thing here. You have to do the same thing here.
Only in gameplay, though, not cutscenes. You don't know what a QuickTime event is.
That is a QuickTime event, bro. It's a button prompt within a certain amount of time, and if you don't press it, you're not going to get the full experience out of it. What are you talking about, dude?
It's not an event, though. It's gameplay.
What does that mean? It's not an event.
That's why it's called a QuickTime event. Look up QuickTime event. And
I already have.
Right,
That's what that is. It's a button prompt within a certain amount of time that the player has to.
You're blinded by the shilling of the 4 original.
No, you're the one that is shilling this remake, dude. You have no talking points, and you want to sit there and argue. Here's the thing. You want to sit there and argue that U3 is in the game. It's ridiculous.
No, I said he's not, and that's why it's a remake. The game's trash. I pointed out the problem with the 4 remake,
dude.
but you couldn't point out any problems with the original. You said it's a perfect game. Shill.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying it's a perfect game, but I mean, like, what's wrong with the original?
Shilling.
No,
Yeah,
I'm asking you, what's wrong with the original game?
I told you countless times. You want me to go again?
Yeah, I think I need a refresher.
Woke can't move while aiming. A stupid laser instead of a reticle.
Oh,
Bad story.
dude.
Graphics are terrible. Like, just because it's old doesn't mean it has to have bad graphics.
What are you talking about? The art direction is superior. The art direction is superior.
No, and I could keep going. The game is trash. There's so many things about it. You have to babysit Ashley in that. She dies in like one hit.
The Ashley mechanics are more in depth in the original than they are in this slop. They've dumbed them down. They watered them down. That's why they wanted that 10 out of 10 on Metacritic, because they made it stupid for stupid people.
I mean, do you waste heals on her in the remake? No.
What?
In the original, you have to waste your heals on her.
Good.
You have to give her your
That's more item resource management that you have to factor in. You have to protect Ashley. That's the entire point of the fucking game, and they've ruined the entire point of the fucking game. The game's trash. The game's garbage.
There's a massive difficulty. There's no item management. If you have nothing, they give you everything.
That's not true.
You cannot get soft locked in the 4 original.
Dude, the game's been out for 18 years, bro. Like, yes, we understand how the game operates, and we know how the game, was developed and things of that nature. It doesn't matter. What are you talking about?
They give you everything if you have nothing. They give you nothing if you have everything. There is no item management. It's a system that lies to you and tells you have to be careful with your ammo. There is no being careful with your ammo. Use it all. They'll give you everything anyway.
They do that. They do that in this remake too. If you're low on ammo, they will. You kick the box open. There's ammo. You're low on health. You kick the box open. There's health. Okay, it's the same thing.
No, but you said the 4 original has item management and 4 remake doesn't. I'm saying they both don't. Neither do. You said 4 original does. 4 remake
well, it does. It does when you talk about
don't.
Ashley. You have to heal Ashley. You can't do that in this thing.
Yeah, but if you have no heals, they'll just give you more. It just feels like a waste, and then you're waiting for that robotic AI.
Well, why don't you play RE4 on GameCube, because I heard there's some differences on that version, which most people have not played it on GameCube.
I played it on everything.
Okay.
Besides PC, because I'm not a nerd. I don't have a PC.
Right.
So I know exactly what people are talking. I know everything about RE4 more than anyone, and I'm telling you, as the actual person that knows the most about it, even more than Shinji Mikami himself.
Okay.
I've been Shinji Mikami could tell you what's the difference of camping up in the clock tower in the village in the VR version and the original. In the VR, they throw grenades rather than Molotovs. No one knows that but me. I know everything.
Oh, so you played the VR version.
I played everything except the PC version.
You don't have the VR. Come on, bro. You don't have the VR version.
I don't have the VR version.
Well, maybe you do.
All right, here are these triggers.
Okay, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. What do you think about the VR version then?
Masterpiece.
Really?
Yeah, because you can actually move and shoot.
Yeah, but that makes the game too easy. You know, here's the thing. The game was too easy to begin with, and now it's even easier.
I mean, it's way easier for someone that's like...
Well, at least the VR team didn't cut content. Now, they did censor stuff. They did censor stuff. But, you know, Capcom already did that with their own remake. But then again, they didn't really remake the game. They made an all-new game inspired by Resident Evil 4. But, you know, with RE4 VR, it is more faithful to the original, even from the UI.
Wait, so you're saying RE4 VR what?
RE4 VR is better than the Resident Evil 4 remake. Yeah, absolutely.
It's better than 4 original by a long shot because it's actually good. But the remake...
How? They censored it. You're in favor of censorship? So when you go to Walmart and buy a CD, a rap CD, and they have 50 Cent, they have him censored on the record, and you just bought that for the same price that you could have went down to the record store and bought it? You know, I mean, come on. You're in favor of censorship, dude?
I mean, I don't know what you're talking about because I don't listen to music, but
yeah. Oh,
I mean,
my God.
If they're censoring something valid, I mean, I guess I see it.
Well, I mean, it's Facebook, so they obviously censored the entire game. You know, there's that line at the beginning where you see that lady, she's hung up on the wall with a pitchfork, and they've censored the dialogue there. You know what they censored. I'm not going to get into it. But with that said, you know, you're in favor of censorship is what you're saying. Why can't you just leave it intact?
I'm on board with Zuckerberg on that one, yeah.
Yeah, and you know, they said they're going to bring San Andreas to the VR headset. I don't know if that's still a thing anymore, but a couple of years ago they announced that, and I can't imagine them bringing that to the VR headset because that would be censored to hell and back. It's GTA, you know?
I mean, yeah, probably, but there's not too much wrong with that.
Yeah, well, not sure what else there is to say here.
There's probably nothing. I mean, I proved
well, let me ask you. No.
everything.
You didn't. No. I was right, and maybe you were a little right as well. But you guys are shilling this. I mean, so hard.
I mean, I already proved. Everyone knows you're shilling the original. I already proved that 5 times.
Well, and you're shilling the remake then.
No, I pointed out the problems with the remake. You can point
No,
out
you
one
didn't.
thing
What are the
wrong with
problems with the remake? What are the problems with the remake again? We got to get a refresher in here.
All right, you don't want me to mention U3, so I won't.
No, because that's baloney.
Yep. You're not always a one-shot stun. The laser sucks. It's only on 3 guns, I think, 3 pistols. Oh my God. Leon's face. Incendiary grenades. No mercenaries on launch, kind of a good thing, but I could see that being a flaw. I mean, I could keep going, but I'd have to think a bit. I'm not shilling. I'm objectively thinking facts.
What do you mean?
There's no goggles on me. Like, I'm looking through a lens of reality and being honest.
Yeah, and they've cut content. You don't want to talk about how they cut content, huh?
They cut U3. It's a demake. It's
Oh, they've cut a lot more than U3. But you don't care. Why don't you care? But you seem to care about Resident Evil 3 remake. Okay, then why do you care? Why do you care about Resident Evil 3 remake?
Why do I what?
Why do you care about them cutting Resident Evil 3 remake?
Because the game's too short. There's no length to it. You can't sit down.
Who cares? Let's ignore the length and let's talk about some other problems with the game. What are the other problems with the remake?
The gameplay loop. I mean, you're forcefully meant to fight Nemesis for him to drop a crate with attachments. Like, who thought of that? Like, they had some, like, feminists go in the studio that day and come up with these ideas. It's trash.
What are you talking about?
The head dudes, the orange head dudes or whatever they're called. Like, I don't know who... They're so forgettable. Who thought of that? Those weird head mutations? That game is trash. The final boss fight...
Yeah, it's the same as the Resident Evil 4 remake. They literally recycled it.
No.
Yes, they did.
No, that's not the final boss in 4 remake. That's like a little cutscene phase. It's barely.
It doesn't matter. You still have to apply some damage.
I mean, a baby could do it.
It doesn't matter. It's the same. They literally copied and pasted the assets, bro. Look at what they've done.
For that one thing, that's it.
Yeah, and you guys don't care. So why was Resident Evil 3 Remake so bad again? You have no talking points for Resident Evil 3 Remake.
I just told you.
Well, let's go through it again because I wasn't listening.
Orange heads.
I don't know what that is. Orange heads. Orange heads.
Those dudes with the orange head mutation thing. I don't even know what they're called. No one remembers that game. It's forgettable.
Well, I thought it was a masterpiece. Now looking back, I said, initially I thought, well, they're going to destroy Classic, and they still did. I mean, compared to the source material, it's terrible. But with these RE Engine games, all of them are garbage for the most part.
Yeah,
I can't even take you seriously. I can't even take you seriously because you say 8 is better than 7.
It is better. It's objectively better.
Not as a Resident Evil game. As a Resident Evil game, you would say that? You would say Village is more close to a Resident Evil game than 7?
I already said no, but you can't look at it as Resident Evil. You got to look at it as a game. Who cares about the title? I mean,
well, then they should just take Resident Evil off the whole freaking titles.
It's not on an island anymore. You can't talk about the title of the game. Dead Island 2 is not on an island. It just continues the story. Just like Resident Evil, it hasn't been about a resident since Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 1 was the first resident. The only
so they're
resident
clickbaiting. So they're clickbaiting is what they're doing, Capcom.
So what? You have
Okay.
So
Tom Clancy's not involved with the Tom Clancy games, and they keep naming that shit after him. He's dead.
Yeah, but then that's fine. You don't have to change the direction of the. You don't have to change the title if you want to change the direction of the game. That's not how it works. Like I said, Dead Island 2 is not on an island anymore, but they're not going to change the name of it.
Okay, they don't have to. It is on an island.
That's what I'm saying. Though.
How do you know it's not on an island? I haven't seen the map.
Dead Island 2 on an island? It's in Los Angeles.
Well, that's basically its own area. I mean, what are you talking about? It doesn't matter. It still could be on an island. I mean, it's a game. It doesn't have to be real to life.
Oh my god. All right, but Resident Evil 2 isn't in a residence anymore. You don't have to change the title to change the direction. That wouldn't make sense because time changes.
Okay, but let's just say that you were right, but you were wrong.
I was 100% right. You're
showing there's no way, dude. There's no way. But why does Resident Evil 3 Remake suck and Resident Evil 4 Remake doesn't when we've compared both of them here in just little areas here? It's an asset flip. It's the same game, and you guys are shilling one and not shilling the other. Why?
I think it's just best to call it because I proved it over and over, and
you haven't said anything, bro.
We can't agree. Like you're looking through some lens of lies. Like I'm saying reality.
What are you talking about? Lens of lies? That sounds like a freaking band or some shit. What do you mean, homie? Bro, the Resident Evil 3 Remake is the same as Resident Evil 4. It's got cut content. They have remade all new areas and things. And you guys love Resident Evil 4 Remake, but you don't love Resident Evil 3 Remake. Now, I think that's a bit hypocritical.
It's not hypocritical. It's fact. They're totally different. It's a different game.
I disagree. I disagree. I think it's the same exact game. Same UI, same bosses at the end there. They've cut content and threw it in the background just like they did in Resident Evil 3 Remake. It's the same game.
Yeah, no.
Well, I guess we can agree to disagree. Well, it's been nice talking. It's been nice talking to you. I mean, I guess we're just going to have to wait until that DLC. But right now, that's where you stand. You said Resident Evil 4 Remake is trash until that Separate Ways DLC, right?
That's where I stand, yep.
Okay, dude. Well, listen, we appreciate you calling in.
Yep.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Holy shit. The shills are out in full force, bro. I mean, unreal, bro. Couldn't say that U3 was cut, even though it's blatantly obvious that U3 in its traditional form is not in the game. And, when you look at Resident Evil 3 Remake, it's the same exact thing. It literally is, bro. It's the same exact same thing. The bosses at the end are the very same. And how they cut content and throw it in the background, same exact thing. It's so sad, but people don't care. People don't care. People don't care. I didn't hang up on anyone. We ended the conversation because there wasn't anything left to talk about. But the lines are still open here if we want to get one more caller in, or we can wind the show down here in a way that makes sense. We're going to be live later tonight with Resident Evil 7. First time playing Resident Evil 7 in over 6 years. So we're going to jump back into Resident Evil 7, and then tomorrow we might jump back into Resident Evil 4 Remake to check out the Mercenaries DLC. Or if the Mercenaries DLC launches at midnight, we might jump into it then. I don't know. But nonetheless, that is the plan for tonight. We have it installed on the Xbox last night. We tried to play it on the PC. We couldn't get it to launch or run properly. But now we have it going. Now we have it going for the Xbox, and it's ready to go. Hello, you're on the air. Can you hear me? Yeah, hello, you're on the air. Hello, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Papua New Guinea, and I'm here to ask.
Oh, gee williker, I don't know where that is from. Exactly. See, Rick has his thinking cap on in here. It's the exact same soulless remake. Exactly. But people don't care. If you want to call in, 818-824-4937. That's the number, 818-824-4937. If you would like to call in, 818-824-4937. Yep, we're going to play Resident Evil 7 for the first time in over 6 years. All right. If not, we're going to wind it down, and we'll be back later today with Resident Evil 7. So we'll give this a couple of more minutes here. If someone wants to call in, they know the number, 818-824-4937. If not, we will wind the show down. But it was fun discussing, debating this, the shill fest that is currently ongoing here with this all-new edition of Resident Evil 4. They just don't want to sit there and say, oh, my God, Michael, you're so right. They know I'm right. They know that U3 was cut. They know that this is a soulless demake. But deep down, they just want to sit there and continue to consume because it's brand new and shiny. It's still, they're still in the honeymoon phase quite clearly. The Mercenaries DLC is not yet out. It's coming out tomorrow, so they're probably waiting for that. But overall, I think that is just the way the cookie crumbles. Mountain climbing is designed for people who have played OG to death. Not sure what that is. Oh, you're talking about the original game. I see what you're talking about. All right, let's go ahead and take a few more calls here. Got to make it quick. Hello, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Finally, okay. This is Mike from New York.
Oh, I know who you are. Where the hell have you been, bro? Where the hell have you been, bro?
I have a similar question back from Elden Ring about. I think you might have kind of poisoned your experience with this game.
How so?
I think you might have ruined it because you and I understand why you did it, why you had to kind of get through it as fast as possible.
Well, we had it early.
We had that early.
Yeah, we had it early.
And you needed to get kind of as much information out as possible.
Yeah.
But in that same time, I think you did kind of, and you said this before, where streaming stuff, is a bad idea if you try to enjoy a game.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you're in a different headspace when playing it and trying to, I guess, assess it as fast as possible. But yeah, I think, and I don't want to bring the difficulty thing up, but
man,
but I mean, I watched you play. I think it didn't. The fact of the matter is that if you play on a low enough difficulty, you are not required to take advantage of all of the game has to offer, like all of the different weapons and all of the different.
Well, then it should be like Elden Ring. There shouldn't be a difficulty option.
I probably agree. I think that the difficulty should be probably somewhere between normal and hardcore. If there is a, yeah, I'm not a fan of difficulty options, honestly, because it kind of, fucks with the vision of what the people who created it were intending. But like I said, so having that option, and I know the game has that option, I think it might have ruined your experience with, in regards to having to, let's say a game like Doom Eternal, right?
Oh.
Doom Eternal is a game where you are forced to use every single weapon out of necessity. because certain enemies have different weaknesses, and also just by proxy of you run out of ammo for specific guns. So I've gotten to a point in this game where I've pretty much been ammoed out of every gun except for the handgun. And, you know, some people enjoy that, some people don't, but at least it kind of builds tension. And I think you lose that when you play on a difficulty that's maybe lower than the developer. And I honestly agree that some of the reactions can be bullshit with the enemies. But yeah, I mean, I'm just curious what you think in regards to the difficulty that you played at, if you think that factored into your opinion of this.
I don't
believe
believe so, but we did have to rush through it. I don't think the difficulty was that big of a factor, because I played most of the game on normal until we got to the Krauser boss fight, and I said, well, we got to get through this. I'm putting it on easy, and once I seen it was a lot easier, I said, well, this is a little bit more enjoyable. So
I didn't tune into all of it,
yeah.
But I did notice that for most of it, you kind of stuck with the shotgun and the pistol. And I actually didn't see if you kind of experimented outside of that. And that's why I'm saying I'm not sure, just from what I saw, I don't know if you've, gotten to experiment with the weapons, gotten to...
Well, they don't feel great. They don't feel great. I mean, I upgraded the striker all the way. I mean, some of them, it's just...
The fact is that with the weapons, I think they kind of incentivize picking... a couple that work for you and just upgrading the shit out of those. Another thing is the side content, right? Because that comes back around to, I feel like kind of the first time through, you kind of got to do the side content to get as much of the weapons as powerful as possible, because then they start to feel good, which, is its own thing. But I think it comes around to you've had a personal bad experience with this game, based on the circumstances. If that makes any sense.
No, I see what you're saying, but I don't. I mean, maybe not. I'm not sure.
I mean, the design, the game design has to, I guess, kind of not be blamed for that, but I mean, as a game developer, you kind of do have to make sure that all of the options are there so everyone can enjoy the game. But well,
then why doesn't Elden Ring cater and pander then?
I think that's why a lot of people like those types of games, is because it doesn't hold your hand.
Well, yeah, that's the entire appeal.
Maybe to an annoying degree, because the people who are into that are, we'll say, just because it's not hard, it's not good. But for something like any other game, right, where if the difficulty is non-existent, where you are not taking advantage of all of the game has to offer, then it kind of dilutes your experience with the game itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, but I actually thought the easy difficulty was actually more akin to the original, because a lot of people say the original game is too easy, and you just shoot their knees and they fall down, and then you can go from there. And if you put it on easy here, you kind of get that RE4 2005 experience where every gunshot has a reaction, but it is a little too easy. So I think there should have been. I think it's just a little too easy. So
I think the difference between the difference, I do agree that they don't, especially in normal and hardcore, they don't react maybe the way they should, and they do rush you a bit more than they should. Maybe that's to kind of to go with the fact that you have more movement, right?
Yeah.
And I'm surprised that you think the movement isn't good in this game, because I think it's it's pretty standard, third-person shooter, new Resident Evil type stuff. I think maybe the knife parry is a little bit like hand-holdy, but they kind of designed the game around that at this point because they charge you. But I mean, yeah, I think on one side of the coin, it's like, yeah, that they need to design the game in order to take everyone along through it and make sure that everyone has a
So
good experience with
basically
it.
what you're saying is it's a skill issue for me.
No, dude,
No, that's what you're saying, bro.
I don't know. Well, I guess it brings up the question, right? When you factor difficulty into it, right? Or this can go for difficulty, accessibility. When you factor those into a game, at what point does it dilute the original creator's vision for the game? Like if you have someone running through with the first 2 starting weapons without upgrades, then I just don't think you're really experiencing the game. In as far as beyond the visuals, beyond the base, I guess, movement, you're not really kind of engaging. You're not playing on the same terms as the game. You're not really, experiencing all it has to offer as far as just the gameplay mechanics. Because the guns, I mean, they're pretty in depth with the amount of comparison you can do between each of them. Each of them have their own little fucking graph for each of the, like, even the levels between the guns. So I think that's all I got to say, really. And the cut content, I mean, that last guy was kind of an idiot, going back on his own thing, saying that U3 was not in it, so now it's trash. They did kind of replace it with different things, with different segments of the game. Like you say, I would say that I would take the running away from the Mendez instead of going on the cable car, because in the cable car you are, as much as the running is a scripted thing, you are still, it's pretty much the terms of the game. You have people chasing after you. It's not really like that heavily scripted. In the cable car, you're just sitting in a cable car, kind of shooting fish in a barrel, like the shooting gallery. So I think cut content isn't always a bad, and I'm not saying cut. I mean, I think a lot of the things that were removed outside of the woke things like the face mask and like changing the line, I don't kiss in Tel, or I don't, now she says I don't work in Tel, like that doesn't make any sense to change that. But the actual other changes that kind of serve the pace and the story, I think it's not always bad to kind of look at that in kind of, I guess, reimagine, which this game I think is. It's not a straight up remake, it's a reimagining. They're trying to, and yeah, I mean, of course that comes with updating it for people who are more inclined to play Fortnite. But there's some other things I think that actually serve it. Like I said, using just the Big Cheese as an example, running away from him, and the Chainsaw Sisters, they cut that. I think they cut around that to kind of make that a little bit more of its own thing, instead of just throwing that in. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of all I got to say. And Resident Evil 3 was a fine game if it was just a little short. And also, Resident Evil was a terrible series until the original Resident Evil 4. That's about it.
Holy shit, there we go. Huh. All right, well, listen, we're going to wind it down out here. Interesting to hear from the folks at home what they think about the game. They know how I stand on it. But we argued with a shill earlier, and that was a lot of fun. But with that said, that's going to wrap it up for now. We do appreciate you guys for tuning in, tagging along, supporting the show, and we will be back with Resident Evil 7 tonight. It's 100% ready to go, and we will play through that for the first time in over 6 years. Again, that's going to do it for now. Appreciate you guys for tuning in, tagging along, supporting the show, and we will see you later. It's over.